Just got back up today.
Um,
Okay.
is one of you John Garrettson? Okay,
No.
I do have an email that he wants to have me read it.
Okay, because our internet, I'm gonna let Liz Biggs talk. She's online, she's got her hands up, and then we will go to the room and Commissioner Ellsworth can read whatever email he's got. So, Liz, I'm gonna ask you to unmute.
Hi, can you hear me? Yes. Hey, I just wanted to say a couple of things about the property as a resident, not necessarily as a person from the board. But in regards to this property, this is not just recreation. So as far as the mission of Land and Water Trust Fund, this property literally hits all of the definitions and missions of the Land and Water Trust Fund. And I just want to throw that out there. It's not just recreation. This is 72 acres of prime land, of beautiful, beautiful land. It has water rights on it. It's little water, but there are water rights. So there's open space, there's water, there's wildlife migration. If you remember, that's one of the reasons why we gave the fire department the grant that we did for the mitigation. So there's a lot of areas and benefit to Park County. And I would just throw out there that it's not just recreation and parks. There's also a conservation easement to possibly look at. And some other things like that. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there, that there's multiple benefits to this county, especially right now as land is in a prime source. Maintaining, keeping that open space would be hugely beneficial to Park County. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank
you. All right.
If I can go through this real quick.
By all means.
It gives a little more information.
Okay.
Since 2014, BOREA has been fortunate to give $87,500 back to the school district. That money they raised for fundraising and all of that. And they use that, of course, in the form of teacher grants, senior scholarships and all that, but that then also go, if the county owned it, that would go for maintenance to make sure the equipment is updated. The other thing is if the county owns the property and BOREA is kind of managing it for us, we could do conservation trust fund if they wanted additional things because it's county property. Kind of like we do in Lake George. Yes, we do that in Lake George. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
So, yes, and BOREA's mission exists to support the students of the Platte Canyon School District. They would like to continue working on that and support the recreation. With that said, the current mission would still allow us to continue supporting the school district funds available after expenses if we own the property. So they would still go out and raise money. They would be able to provide some to the school district and also make sure the county has what we need to keep the park in good shape. And he says BOREA's 501c3 is an asset to the community in the current form. Any consideration to preserve the property as a community recreational asset would be welcome. So they want to work with us. And right now, they take all of their direction from Mike Schmidt on how to use it. Of course, who's superintendent because the school owns it. Well, that'd be, well, we would then say, okay, this is what we want to do. And it's, the list of things that it's been used for, I mean, it's really huge for the community. They say dog walking, I know the uses it for cross-country training. They have, the BMC bicycle thing. Which is also very popular. It's a good place to hike. So to me, it's just a great asset to the community.
Okay. Thank you for that. Now, Tom, you have a comment?
Yeah. Couple observations. There needs to be a lot of fact finding, even if you have the proper information, so y'all can make a final decision. Just jotted down a few things. It would be worthwhile if you want me to go forward, to contact Platte Canyon School District, see if there was an appraisal done on that property. And then look at, see if there was a sales price related to that, what's the condition of the site, currently. And I heard, there's water rights, we don't have any idea about that. We are obligated to have our own appraisal on that property as well, but we could start with an appraisal if they have one. Or we can better define the cost incurred, and it appears that we don't know, but BOREA has been managing that site, and if we were to find that it has the appropriate value to continue that, we would have to do something similar like with Lake George, get a maintenance agreement with BOREA. I would hope would want to be a player, and this way any revenue generated from that site can be put back into that. So I think we really need to start. Is there an appraisal? We need to put on an RP to our appraisal. We have 3, so we can just kind of, put feelers out and go from there. Because I don't even know what the sales price is. I've looked at the county website, what it was assessed as. So, and I'm sure there's a wide span in what they believe or someone believes the value is. So,
Yeah, well, and that's, my goal would be, for us to say, let's look into it and start that process.
Okay, thank you for that. I just do want to make one comment. BOREA's been managing the site, but the Secretary of State's website does say they are delinquent in their filing since 2011. So that's a bit of a concern that, that they would have to possibly become a little bit more diligent in how they ran those affairs, because we can't have someone who's not operating under the proper structure of the state, managing a park that's owned by the county.
Yeah.
But all those things can be worked out. We'll just start here and go around the table if anyone wants to make comments, because we'd like to hear from you.
Well, my name's Marilyn Lawson. I live in Bailey, probably a mile north in Berlin from the park, and I recently moved to an office from the state of Maryland. One of the reasons we chose this spot that we're at is because of what's available open space wise. I am very sad to see it closed. I used that facility probably 4 times a week for hiking. We took grandkids and children there to play disc golf. I'm not a disc golfer, but there are many uses. I see many people there using that property for a variety of things, everything from sledding to snowshoeing to dog walking to, I participated in the turkey trot, which was a 5K race over Thanksgiving. There are so many things going on there that it would be a huge loss to the community to lose that. And I participated at the board meeting for the public schools a few weeks ago when they made a decision to sell it, and there was enormous support from the community there. Everyone from a 15-year-old who participates in non-traditional sports to people, my neighbors, who are very disturbed by the possibility of it being used for something other than outdoor space. And one thing that you mentioned that was in conflict with what was said that night is around water. There were 3 wells on that property that are dry, and I myself have had water issues. And in Berlin, I was told that Berlin itself has water issues. So it would be detrimental to the community for someone to purchase that and build there and deplete more of the water resources in the area. So that's concerning me too.
Thank you, Marilyn.
And also one other thing, a licensed, retired licensed clinical social worker, and I participated and facilitated a lot of outdoor educational experiences with kids. And it's just beyond my comprehension that the school system didn't consider using that property for social learning programs that were beneficial to kids, because when they're using in the school system, 75% of people in it say it's not helpful. And I was blown away that they didn't consider using that property in those ways, which could be something else that could be done with that property that people have not really explored. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Nancy Lynch, so I'm also a resident there and I live probably a mile and a half away from this. So I think one of the things the community is asking, we're asking is that, instead of saying why you can't, again, let's look at how can we, let's figure it out, because it is such a resource for the whole community. It's an opportunity for community involvement. You can go over there and you've got, first off, it seems like the trend anymore with families and stuff is the kids are all like this on their phone, and parents are all like this on their phones and stuff like that. And it gives us a place that's close that we can actually make memories. They can go and, there's so many things you can do there. You can snowshoe, you can cross country ski, you can, of course, disc golf, which is, it's not going away. Disc golf is the number one thing to do. And we've got a great course with people come from all around to come to our course to play it. They're there. They don't just come in and play golf and leave. They're also in the community. So they're stopping and buying gas. They're stopping at the grocery stores, buying groceries and snacks. And, so that's also helping to support not only the disc golf course, but also the community itself. So, we've got perfect. So like you said, right now, we're going to be more of a senior community. And so it's perfect because we have, all sorts of different terrain there. So we have, of course, the terrain that they use for their mountain biking, the disc golf. We have a lot of meadow there too. So it's easy for seniors, older people, and I'm figuring out today that where you can walk and not have to worry about falling down the hill. So I have a Bernese mountain dog who's torn his ACLs, and we go over there all the time, and he can't do the mountain stuff now. So we walk in the meadows. You can't walk on the roads because you're going to get run over, So it's not a safe place for anybody who's doing that. And we don't have anything like that. You look in Conifer and they have, the 3 different places. They have Beaver Ranch, they have Flying J, they have Myers Ranch, places where you can go do that. We have nothing where we are on that whole side of the mountain. We have nothing like that we can do. So, and I guess that's kind of the main thing is that it's a place in the family. I think the family part's really important. There's a chance that, like Maryland, I've had grandkids over there. We've done the sledding and stuff like that. It gives them an opportunity, an easy opportunity where you don't have to, a big, huge plan to, oh, we're going to have to drive, 2 hours now. We're going to stop and do this or whatever. It's like it's next door. So opportunity easier to get out of the house and make memories as opposed to going the way we're headed now. So thank you, Nancy.
Hi, I'm Karen Reese.
Karen.
I've only lived in the Bailey area for 54 years. My property is, my property is Jones School property. And first I was resistant to BOREA's management of it, but it has worked well. I have to admit, it has worked well. The mixed uses seem to be worked out as far as the disc golfers and the dog walkers and all that. I know sledding isn't a big deal to a lot of people, but it does have a perfect slope for kids to sled. Unlike Myers Ranch, you can actually find a parking place, and you don't have to be concerned about your wee ones being run over by the teenagers. It's not a real popular place to sled, but it's definitely doable. It's not treed on this slope, so it's, in my opinion, it's fairly safe. I spoke with Mike Schmidt after the board's decision to sell. And I do not believe this is proprietary information, so it appraised in November or December for $850,000. The school board is in favor of the property being owned by the county or a public entity so that it maintains the use of it. I even had a school board member call me yesterday and ask if, you know, they could, how it was going. And, they're the ones that suggested, actually, the Park County Land and Water Trust Fund, monies could be used on this. So I do think that it's a special property to them. And I think that they would certainly entertain it going to the county. And again, as for the water, Mr. Bartlett owned the property and he sold it to the school district in 1995. He had a small Arabian horse operation on the property. And from time to time, because I was close, he would ask me to do his chores. Reportedly, there are 3 wells drilled on that property. He drilled 3 to get 1. And the one that's existing is said to be 500 feet deep. And I know that I had to be very careful in filling the stock tank in increments because the well would go, there wasn't sufficient. That was before the drought years. So, also Duke Dozier was going to sell water rights to the school district so that they could build. So I don't, if there's water rights on the property, it's news to me, but I'm not a know-all. BOREA has maintained a calendar of events. And so, the disc golfers can reserve the property, so to speak, for their disc golfing activities, special occasions and whatnot, but still it's not closed. From where the disc golf baskets are, you could easily walk your dog in the meadow and it wouldn't be a problem. You wouldn't have to duck for disc. So, I do think that it would be a valuable thing for the county to do. Again, nothing over there. And this lady likely can't walk her dog on the trails in national forest because they're not compatible with an older person's use necessarily, or, you know, a dog that needs to be cared for. So, oh, one more thing. Deer Park Association has had a long time grazing agreement with BOREA. I believe that also would be important to maintain because they provide upkeep on the fences. And of course, the cattle grazing the grasses and whatnot helps with mitigation. And I don't think it really hurts for the community to see that agriculture is still there. And they do close the property for that because of course the cattle are on the property and they don't need gate open, they don't need loose dogs chasing the cattle and whatnot. But yet to pull up there and say, hey, we're sharing this property for this agricultural use, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Right, that cattle can participate with recreation. They do a good job of fire mitigating.
But that's right, exactly. They serve a purpose.
Well, thank you for that input, very valuable. Let's go around the room and then we'll let you.
Me, you can go ahead. Okay, my name is Caitlin. I live in Berlin as well, very close to the property. Sorry, one question I'd like to ask Dave Whistle, right? I'm sorry. You mentioned market value. Do you mean like the market value of building homes? Is that your concern?
No, I just heard an indicator value of $850,000, which I I have no way to say yes or no, but it doesn't strike me as odd. I think that's probably as representative, without looking at any data, and I haven't, kind of by design.
Yeah,
Just to see, you know, what are things going for in somebody's eyes? Doesn't mean it's gonna sell for that, but that's the asking price. Gotta start somewhere,
yeah.
right? So that was just my curiosity, and we got the number, at least that as best we know.
Right.
And I also want to ask you a question. You said something about staff to maintain the land. There was some gal at the school board, a student, who uses the park or the property for bike riding. So I would suggest that the people who still use it from the school, they use it for training, they use it for cross country. They could do volunteer work to help maintain the land as well. When I went to school in Bear Creek High School, we did community work to help maintain the trails that we ran on. Certainly so nervous.
You're fine. We're all just people right here, so it's all good. Good earth.
Yeah, I do care, and I
Yeah,
know
I
I'm
understand.
close, and sorry, I'm not very good at public speaking, clearly.
You're doing great.
But that would be my suggestion, you know, if you needed someone to maintain the land. I think that would be a good kind of cost offset. And then also, I know you shook your head a lot about the Berlin Park, and we just moved here right when that park had shut down to only members of the Berlin community. And I'm not part of the HOA, but that might be my next talk. But you know, it is hard when there is not a recreation space for the kids in the community, and I think it did just from my interactions with people at the park, as we go there to hike Mount Bailey frequently. It is hard when there is not a place for kids to go, and I think one of the concerns was the vandalism, which I would kind of you know, would be cautious of in this part of the land as well. You know, hopefully there wouldn't be vandalism. It hasn't been vandalized in the time that we've been here. There's not illegal dumping. It's been very well taken care of. And I think it's good to have that outlet for kids to go recreate. We are grown adults and we still sweat there. Without kids, we don't have kids. We use it for like disc golf, we use it to walk the dog, we use it for all forms of activity. I also like to echo the fact that it did generate, I think, up to $65,000-$70,000 in the last 3 years, and that was from the unmanned money post. That was pretty much the honor system, right? People voluntarily put money in there, and if you think about the amount of money that could be used if it was mandatory, if there was a paid gate or something more substantial instead of an unmanned, put your money in box. I think that could generate a lot more money that would go back to Park County and the residents. They also said, you know, some of the events that went on there, they had the big disc golf course tournament. I actually think a lot of and maybe it was because it was owned by the school board, so they couldn't do a lot with the event, but I think a lot of the local businesses kind of missed out on putting their food trucks. We have several food trucks throughout Bailey. They missed out on kind of selling food, and there's this local bakery, the Giggling Goat, there's all these small businesses throughout Bailey. And I think that could generate a lot of money to the local businesses. And I think the more money is spent locally, stays locally, it increases your tax paying dollars, I believe, right? If that's how I'm really economist here, but so I think if we could, you know, kind of use the land more for, you know, social events like that, where then the local businesses benefit, I think that would be very helpful. And I think people they missed the mark on that, and it might be because of the school board owning it, but you know, so maybe, but not them owning it, we might have more ability to do events like that.
Thank you. Appreciate your input very much.
I'm Scott Barber, I live with her. Kind of feel like we're all beating on the same drum here, but I have reached out to Great Outdoors Colorado. Let me see, find his name here real quick, sorry. Dan Omasta, I believe is who I spoke to. And he said, as long as we can find somebody to purchase, not as individual citizens here, just a larger corporation or company, much like you guys, they said they would be willing to talk about giving out funds. Either maintenance, which I don't know what the maintenance costs on that are, if you guys do by chance, but I just, I'd hate to just, we're beating on the same drum.
Yeah, we're fact finding at this point, so it's just a new topic, so thank you for that input. We will start gathering data, and figure it out. Next, back here, yes, please.
Well, I don't live over there, and I didn't even know the park existed, but, I do remember as a little kid, I lived in Denver, and my friend's family would go up to the mountains to O'Fallon's Park off of I-70, and we'd cook our breakfast over a fire, and it was my first real introduction to the mountains, and I've never forgotten it. Now I live up here. Okay, so I think that Dick had made the comment about it's a closer place to go to. So if you're outside of Denver, it sure beats the I-70 traffic to come up this way. And it's a beautiful drive nonetheless. So I love the idea of the social things that you get these kids out of the cities and, let them see that there's another world outside of them. So I think that, if the county can do anything, it would be a really wonderful purchase. And I think people come up with great ideas thus far for, a little bit of funded, a little bit of volunteering. So that's basically all I have to say.
Thank you. Yes,
And,
please.
I also don't live on that side of the hill. I live on the other far side, but I would like to think of Park County as being a forward-looking county instead of a backward-looking county. And part of a forward-looking area where people have, that have moved to is an area to recreate. And there is, if this is the perfect location, why would we not take advantage of that? And it seems like Commissioner Whistle, I believe that you were quoted as saying that you could find another $1 million in the budget in this county after you go through it. And there you go, there's the money for the whole area. But there are plenty of areas. You could even do a GoFundMe page, and I bet you could raise a lot of money for it. I mean, this is ridiculous to think that we can't do.
Hi,